What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. And if you guys can give me the HKO special, please help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. All right, so today we're going to talk about the man that defected to North Korea. Before we get started, let's just watch the video and we'll go over the article.
Crossed the border from South Korea yesterday. Private Travis King walked away from a tour group in the demilitarized zone, or the DMZ, and was taken into custody. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is monitoring the latest developments from London.
Hello there. Yes, Private King was actually supposed to be on his way back to the United States from South Korea because he'd been sent to jail for assault. But having been taken to the airport, rather than get on the plane, he turned around somehow and joined this tour group headed for the heavily mined border area between North and South Korea. The DMZ itself is a strip of wilderness stretching 160 miles between the two Koreas. But Private King chose this place, famous for diplomatic encounters like President Trump's meeting with Kim Jong-un, to make his move. CBS News visited that area in February. Ever since the beginning of COVID, when North Korea really sealed its borders, it's been virtually impossible for anyone to get in or out. But it turns out all it took was nerve and will, because at the start of the pandemic, North Korea, for some reason, removed all the guards on its side. The tour group's bus had dropped them in the so-called joint security area of the DMZ. You can see the border between the two countries in red runs right through the buildings. One of the tourists there said they'd just left those blue buildings, known as Meeting Row, when the soldier bolted over the border. Private King was with the American forces stationed in South Korea. A U.S. official said he was being sent back to Fort Bliss, Texas, to face possible military discipline and to be discharged. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says he believes he's now in custody inside North Korea.
I'm absolutely foremost concerned about the welfare of our troops.
North Korea hasn't yet commented on the incident, and it's going to be a challenge to get information about Private King, let alone access to him, as the U.S. has no diplomatic representation in North Korea, and most Western officials who might have acted on the U.S.'s behalf were forced to leave during the pandemic. Anne-Marie, Nancy?
Okay, yep. So Travis King, okay, so he defected into North Korea. Let's see. Let's look at the article. Let's see. Yep. So the U.S. military in Korea examined the possibility of private second-class Travis King had planned for some time to defect to North Korea. That may have come to an unwelcome news to Kim Jong Un's regime. Uh, Dae Ho-yo, a former North Korean, has defected some years ago, wrote on Facebook, the U.S. soldiers who have crossed defect North Korea are inevitably a nuisance because the cost effectiveness is low in the long run. Now, Dae, who is now a lawmaker, recalled the case of a defector whose care and management proved an expensive burden for Pyongyang. So, yep. So, professional security and monitoring to be a setup, an interpreter in a vehicle driver, and lodging had to be arranged, he wrote. While King's decision to make a dash into North Korea, they may have some propaganda value for Kim Jong Un. The soldier also poses a problem for a regime bound by its own rigid rules. To start with, his arrival broke Korean law, so it is illegal to enter North Korea, and there is Travis King right there, and which documents or office approval. So yeah, this may sound absurd to most people, but Pyongyang believes that some justification that is necessary to deter people who might have a mission, think religious aid groups, from sneaking into the Hermit Kingdom. So yep, and one former U.S. official who specialized in North Korea told CBS News that U.S. complained about the treatment of several Americans who have entered the North illegally. Pyongyang responded by asking the U.S. to do a better job of keeping their citizens under control. That means that King's fate won't be decided in a hurry. At least very North Korea might go to the most of trying him for illegal entry and sentencing. Only then perhaps it will send him back across the border, technically known as the military declamation line, to face the music at home. But Professor Yang Moo-jin of the University of North Korean Studies is also told that even if King defected with the intention of staying, he's likely to change his mind. He will not blend in with the North Korean side and will not ask to be sent back to the state. So over the past 3 decades, the U.S. citizens were detained, having actually on purpose entered North Korea illegally. All of them were eventually released, through some required some high level diplomatic intervention. So since times have changed, diplomatic intervention has become virtually impossible since North Korea sealed its borders at the start of the pandemic. Almost all foreign officials were forced to leave the country. This includes representatives from Sweden, the protecting power for the United States in the north, who would have lobbied for access to King. So yeah, so even as a private, he has limited intelligence value to North Koreans. King is bound to be defeated by state security. So yep, they will evaluate whether he's really a defector or whether his fantastic story about slipping out of the airport and once a DMZ tour bus holdup. They also have to satisfy the leadership that he is either a provocateur or not an undercover agent. So one might not be allowed to say. One expert suggests he's useful as an English teacher or a copyright for an English version of state media back in the 60s. Some U.S. defectors ended up playing the roles of ugly American capitalist villains in the North Korean movies. Yes, Joseph Dresnik. And if Pyongyang decides that he's more trouble in his work, then professors suggested Kim Jong un might use him to start negotiations. North Korea could welcome a high level U.S. envoy to negotiate King's return, Yang suggests, and use it as a catalyst for direct U.S. DPRK talks. But as USA, it's already open to talks. Just to say, the moment that Kim Jong un is likely the unexpected arrival of a 20-year-old American will change its mind. So there we go with yeah with Travis King, but Joseph Dresnik, and there was 4 defectors back in the 60s. He's there in North Korea, or I think he might be dead now. But I could see since I'm not trying to get a little conspiracy theory, or but he has the color, so where he could be in a used as a in these films, propaganda films, as a Black American. So they've used mostly white Americans in the past for a lot of these propaganda movies. I mean, that's a new face for for these movies. I'm just saying, but I don't know if it's going to happen, or he's going to be released, or he doesn't want to leave. Because at the same times, yep, I don't blame him for wanting to come back to the States. And majority of these guys that just hop over to North, yeah, they have some trouble in with America. They have some issues that might prevent them. So yeah, I understand why he kind of went. Now I prefer my freedom, but yeah. So and I'm in and that's my and that's our neighbors from the north. So yeah, so but we'll see. We'll see. This is going to be very interesting to find out and know what's going to happen. But I could see them using him as a propaganda media there. So I don't know, because it's another face, a new face besides the Joseph Dresniks, you know. So that is remain to be seen. So we'll just stay tuned to see what happens with these talks and go from there. So there you go. All right, everyone. If you enjoyed any of this content, please, man, hit the like, subscribe, and comment on what you think is going to happen. All right, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.